Hi, my name is Michael Chodosh. I'm with Chodosh Guitar. I'm going to consider this to be an introductory lesson. It's a lesson to explain what you need, ways that we communicate at the very beginning to make things easy, and also some things that you might not have thought you needed, and what you can expect while studying guitar. Ways to approach this. It's very important stuff. You might want to check it out for a minute. At Chodosh Guitar, the first thing we like to do is to point out the things you need for a lesson. The first thing, of course, is a guitar. This is a guitar. You can tell because it's a guitar. And you need one. Why? So you can practice on it. Not just so that you can play it and perform it, but there's going to be a lot of practice time. There's going to be a lot of time you need to practice. And by a lot of time, I simply mean every single day for, at first 15 minutes a day, at least 5 or 10, and then work your way up to a half hour or an hour a day, whatever you can get in to get pretty good. If you want to be really good, you're going to work your way up to, but not jump in at 4 hours, 5, 6, 7 hours. Some guys go that far. I used to, and sometimes I still do, although not that often. You need a notebook. A 5-line staff paper book would be fine, so you can write notes into it. 6-line would be fine, so you can write tablature. If you have 5 lines, you can always pencil in a 6th line in there to write down your tablature, and you'll be able to draw chord diagrams, to draw pictures of scales and chords. Actually, I call them chord and scale, or scale and chord diagrams, because they're analog views of everything that can be played, and we'll be explaining that to you, along with how to read tablature. You need to be in your heart. And what does that mean? That means that you need to touch base with how you feel before you start operating this thing. You touch base with how you feel, and you're going to want to keep practicing and want to keep playing. If you don't, you're going to let your head take over. And when your head takes over, it starts telling you you need to be taking out the trash, or doing the dishes, or calling somebody up who you haven't hung with, or playing Xbox, or sitting on the couch eating Twinkies and, drinking soda. However, when you go into your heart, you ask yourself, how do I feel? And right now, I'm in my heart because I'm aware of how I'm feeling. I can operate my head, make it a tool, use it as a tool from my heart. But when I'm not in my heart, my head is making a tool out of me. And it's going to try to keep you from committing to practice time and doing things. The simplest way out is to ask yourself, how do I feel? Because the moment you do that, you're going to remember what brought you here in the first place, and that's your excitement and your love of the sound that's created by this guitar. Just simple notes, just simple things that you really love about that sound. And that'll keep you practicing. So you ready to learn some stuff to put us on the same page? Here we go. Hold up your left hand and repeat after me. I'm going to ask you to say this out loud, and I'm going to ask you to touch things, because those are, when you say things, it's a different part of the brain than what you're listening with. And when you touch, it's a different part again. It's the one that you're feeling with. And we're going to incorporate all those little parts to help you remember faster and more efficiently. So, touch your first finger on your left hand. Left hand. Say first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. Reach down here and touch this bottom string. What you think of as the bottom string, I think of it as the top string. It doesn't matter. We're going to call the skinny one that tends to be the highest note, or tends to be at the ground, lowest level. I don't know. It's the first string. It's down there. And say first string, second string, third string, fourth string, fifth string, sixth string. I don't have to look because I've been touching them so long, but I want you to go ahead and look if you need to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Touch this thing up here. It's the nut. You see it? This thing down here is the bridge. It holds the strings up right here. This holds the strings up. This holds the strings up. It suspends the strings over the fretboard. The nut and the bridge. Now, when you shorten a string, the notes go higher. So these frets do the job of shortening the strings for us to the exact length they need to be to stay in pitch. So, to put your first finger behind this first piece of metal and say first fret, Now move it up here and feel it. 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret, 9th fret. There's the 12th fret. Okay? Do you get it? Now, I think we've got the fingers, we've got the strings, we've got the frets, we've got the nut and the bridge. I want you to put your 3rd finger behind the 3rd fret on the 1st string. Yes, I'm waiting. I know, thinking all the 3 things at once is tricky. That's what we're developing first. 3rd finger, 3rd fret, 1st string should look something like that. Say G, because that's the note G if you play the 1st string, or if you play the first 4 strings. Remember 4, 3, 2, and 1. Remember that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, so we're going to go from 4 down to 1. Okay, that's a G chord. Say G, and play that chord, and count with me while you tap your foot. Okay, so you're going to tap your foot while you're counting, and say 1, 2, 3, 4. You see how I'm strumming? 2, 3, 4. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now put your 1st finger behind the 1st fret on the 2nd string. Say the note C. Play the 2nd string. That's C. Play the first 3 strings. You're playing a C chord. Tap your foot and count. 1, 2, 3, 4. The foot should hit the ground on each count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the G chord. 4 strings. 1, 2, 3, 4. Say G chord. 2, 3, 4. Good. Now, here comes the hard one. 1st finger, 2nd fret, 3rd string. 2nd finger, 2nd fret, 1st string. 3rd finger behind the 3rd fret on the 2nd string. It's a D chord. Say D. You've got your 1st finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, your 2nd finger on the 1st string, 2nd fret, and your 3rd finger between them on the 2nd string at the 3rd fret. Play the first 4 strings. Say D chord or D. 1, tap your foot, 2, 3, 4. Every time we count, tap your foot on the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now back to the G chord. G. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now you've actually just played a song. You may be advanced and just shaking your head at me right now going, okay, I've done this before. But if you're a beginner, you really just played your first song. And a great many songs have those 3 major chords in them. I'll be explaining the theory to you about it later on. But the point is that you really learned a whole lot right now. The key is how much do you practice? Can you practice it a lot? Once you get really good at something, do you stop practicing it? That's when we really get started. We play it more and more and more. So when you hear somebody doing something and you think, that looks so easy when he does that. How can that be? Practice. Do it every day. Try to do it the same time every day if possible. Do a minimum of 5, 10, 15 minutes. Absolute minimum. Don't go a day without playing. If you've only got 5 minutes because you don't have any time, pick up the guitar and play it for 5 minutes. You will double your results as opposed to skipping days. It's amazing, really. Now you're going to play every day. You're going to get in your heart. You're going to write down what you're doing in your notebook. You're also going to play a song, and you're also going to play out of a method book. I forgot to mention that, didn't I? Okay, I'm glad I'm thinking about this. The method book is going to be a book that gets you to where you want to go. Even as a teacher, and I do teach a lot of students, and that's what I do mostly these days. I do perform, but most of my time is spent teaching these days. And all of my students have some sort of book. And if they didn't buy it, it's because I'm writing it for them as we go. It's a study book that kind of keeps things from falling through the cracks. So, if you're younger, I suggest that you work on reading. Reading of music, according to the Board of Education, is good for your math skills, your science skills, and your sense of self-esteem. And if you're a young person, you need those things. You need to develop them. Always want to be working on your self-esteem. So get a book that teaches you how to read. Make sure it's a book that does not put tablature underneath the reading, or you know as well as I do, if you know anything about tab, you're going to look at the numbers instead of the notes. So I have all of my students doing that as much as possible. When they're old enough and working a job and just want to work out of a method book that's just blues or rock, that's fine. But the young guys can work out of the blues and rock methods books too, as long as they're still doing some reading. So every day, we're going to work on scales, we're going to work on some reading, we're going to work on the song of your choice, and maybe a song of my choice. That's if you're my student. And every day you're going to remember to get back in your heart. You're going to check your notebook and write down what you're doing and label it. Try and move ahead maybe 1 page a day, or a week really, 1 page a week out of the method book. You don't just go from page 1 to page 2, but after you've got 3 or 4 pages you're working on, you add 1 page to the end, take off a page from the front. So in other words, if you're in the method book, you want to repeat everything so much that you get used to the idea of just doing it over and over. And one of the things we'll do is, let's say we're working on page 2, 3, and 4. Well, when we add page 5, we'll take off page 2, but we're still doing 3, 4, and 5. And when we add page 6, we're doing still page 3, 3, 4, and 5, or 4, 5, and 6, I mean. We're still doing page 4, 4, 5, and 6, like that. So we never just stop doing the whole thing. It's not about learning it like a textbook. It's about getting good at it. And this is going to make you the player you want to be. The method I'm showing you works. You want to be a really good player, this is the advice you need to take and follow through. Give me a call if you need to know more about what I'm saying or don't understand anything. Text me, email me, it's fine. It should all be on the video somewhere how to reach me. I'm Michael Chodosh with Chodosh Guitar. I want to thank you for your time. Keep it up. Stay after it. You're going to have a great time. It's going to be a lot of hard work, but the results are going to be amazing.